Disclaimer: this story contains mature themes intended for adult viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. The room was quiet, but the silence had weight, the kind that hums between two people who know what they want but haven't said it aloud. A dim amber glow spilled through the curtains, painting shadows over her skin. She could feel her heartbeat in the stillness, the soft rhythm of it echoing in her ears as the air grew warmer, denser, charged. She didn't move. Not at first. The sound of his footsteps was slow, deliberate, almost hesitant. Each one sent a ripple through the air, a reminder that something was about to shift. He stopped beside the bed, and for a heartbeat, neither spoke. Their eyes met. There was no need for words, the silence was its own language. His gaze traced her face, not with hunger, but with something deeper. Recognition. Longing. The kind that builds quietly over time until it can't be contained. The space between them felt fragile, like one breath too deep might shatter it. She inhaled, steadying herself. Her fingers curled against the sheets, feeling the cool fabric beneath her. He reached out, slow, careful, and brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. The warmth of his hand lingered like a secret, and suddenly, the world outside the room didn't exist. There was only this moment, the closeness, the anticipation, the gravity pulling them together. The air thickened as his breath mingled with hers, soft, uneven, questioning. Her pulse quickened. A single word could change everything, but neither spoke it. Instead, the quiet filled with everything unspoken: forgiveness, desire, trust. He leaned in, close enough that she could feel the warmth of his breath against her skin, close enough that every heartbeat between them became a countdown to something inevitable. And then, he moved. The scene faded into silence, leaving only the sound of two hearts trying to find the same rhythm. The space between them seemed to shrink, even though neither had moved. The air was heavy now, not with words, but with awareness. Every breath she took felt shared, drawn from the same air he breathed out. Somewhere beyond the window, rain had started to fall, its soft rhythm syncing with her heartbeat. He sat beside her, careful, the mattress dipping under his weight. Their shoulders brushed, a small, accidental touch that sent a tremor through her. She tried to steady her hands, but they betrayed her, trembling slightly as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear. He noticed. She knew he did. Their eyes met again, and this time, there was no looking away. His voice, when it came, was low, a whisper that barely disturbed the quiet. She didn't catch the words at first, only the tone, the warmth that curled around them. She answered softly, her voice carrying a question she didn't dare ask outright. The world beyond the walls faded, no cars, no rain, no ticking clock. Only the sound of their breathing, close and uneven. He reached out again, his fingers brushing the edge of her wrist, lingering there for a second too long. A quiet electricity sparked in that touch, the kind that lives between hesitation and want. She felt it everywhere, in the rise of her pulse, in the quick catch of her breath. His gaze followed the curve of her face, memorizing it, as if afraid that looking away might break the spell entirely. Her hand moved on its own, lightly touching his sleeve. The fabric was warm under her fingertips, and she felt the faint pull of his breath deepen in response. No words. Just the soft hum of something building, something that neither of them could stop now. Every second stretched thin, fragile. A moment teetering on the edge of something both dangerous and beautiful. She could feel it in her bones, the line between restraint and surrender, growing thinner with each passing heartbeat. And then, in the quiet, he whispered her name, softly, reverently, like a promise about to be broken. The room seemed smaller now. Every shadow, every flicker of light felt drawn toward them. The space between their breaths was almost nothing, a fragile boundary that both wanted to keep and break. She could hear the quiet sound of his breathing, rough around the edges, like he was trying to steady himself and failing. Her chest rose and fell in rhythm with his, the closeness creating a rhythm that neither planned but both followed. He reached out as if to touch her face, then stopped halfway, a tremor in his fingers betraying the storm inside. She turned slightly toward him, her lips parting, not in invitation but in surprise at how much she wanted to close that last inch of space. The silence became unbearable. She could feel it pressing against her, urging something to happen. Her heart pounded in her ears, even the air seemed to hum with the weight of the moment. Their eyes locked again, no longer searching, just holding. The look between them was more honest than words could ever be, fear, longing, memory, and something dangerously close to surrender. He leaned in, not enough to touch, just enough for his breath to brush against her cheek. It was warm and uneven. She could smell the faint trace of rain on his skin. The nearness made her dizzy. Her hands curled against the sheets again, grounding herself in something solid, because everything else, her thoughts, her will, was slipping. Then his hand found hers. The touch was hesitant, almost reverent, their fingers barely touching, but it sent a rush through her that made it impossible to breathe normally. For a second, the world seemed to stop. Every heartbeat screamed that this was a line they both knew, a line they were standing on the edge of. He whispered her name again, this time with a quiet ache that left her trembling. And though neither moved, the air itself felt ready to break open. Time seemed to slow, as if the world outside the room had stopped holding its breath. The air was thick, almost visible, trembling between them. Every sound, every movement carried meaning. Even the soft creak of the floor beneath his knee felt amplified, echoing through the silence like a warning and an invitation all at once. He was close now, so close she could see the reflection of the lamplight in his eyes. It wasn't just desire that lingered there, but conflict. The kind that burns quietly, like a flame trying not to show how hot it really is. Her voice trembled when she finally spoke. Just his name. Barely more than a whisper. But the sound of it seemed to undo him. He exhaled sharply, the breath catching somewhere between restraint and surrender. His hand rose, hesitating midair before brushing the back of her neck. The touch was feather-light, almost accidental, but it sent a wave through her that she couldn't disguise. She met his gaze, steady, unflinching, as if daring him to stop pretending they weren't both standing at the edge of something they couldn't reverse. The room pulsed with quiet energy. Her pulse raced beneath his fingertips, and for a second, neither of them knew who was trembling more. Outside, thunder rolled in the distance, its low rumble slipping through the walls and into the charged air. The first flash of lightning lit the room in silver, just long enough to reveal how close they'd become. She could feel the warmth of him now, the uneven rhythm of his breath, the tension that made the moment almost unbearable. Their faces were inches apart. Every nerve screamed to close that last impossible gap. He leaned in just enough for the air to vanish between them, a single heartbeat away from breaking every rule they'd silently promised to keep. And then, he stopped. The quiet roared around them. Her eyes searched his, waiting, questioning, wanting. The pause stretched until it hurt, that fragile, breathtaking place between holding back and giving in. Something was about to happen. But not yet. The thunder rolled again, louder this time, closer, rattling the glass in the window. It broke the fragile silence that held them captive, but neither of them moved. The air between them was molten now, the kind of stillness that hums with too much meaning to last. He was about to speak, she saw the words form on his lips, when a sharp knock at the door shattered the moment. One. Then another. Firm. Urgent. Her heart stopped. They froze, eyes wide, breath caught, as though any sound might reveal what shouldn't be happening. The knock came again, louder this time. Her pulse raced, and the tension that had been electric seconds ago now twisted into something darker, almost fearful. He stood slowly, the warmth of him leaving her like the fading echo of a song. She sat motionless, clutching the sheet beside her, every nerve alive with what almost happened, and with the dread of what might happen next. "Don't move," he whispered, voice low and steady, though she could hear the tremor beneath it. He crossed the room toward the door, his shadow flickering across the wall as lightning flashed again. For a moment, she watched him, the way his shoulders tightened, the way his hand hovered over the handle, and she realized she didn't know who she wanted it to be on the other side. The door creaked open. A woman's voice slipped through the crack, quiet, familiar. "I saw the light on," she said. "Are you alone?" Her breath caught. The words sank like stones in her chest. Every piece of the moment before, every look, every unspoken thought, burned brighter in that instant, illuminated by guilt and something dangerously close to thrill. He didn't answer right away. His body blocked most of the doorway, but she could see the tension in his back, the silent war happening inside him. "Yes," he said finally, though his voice faltered halfway through the word. The woman outside hesitated. "You left your phone," she murmured, sliding something through the gap. A sliver of light caught the edge of a gold ring on her hand before the door closed again. The room fell silent. He turned back toward her, eyes darker now, conflicted, restless. The storm outside raged on, lightning spilling across the room like a camera flash, freezing the moment in stark detail. Neither spoke. They didn't need to. Everything unsaid now had a name. The distance between them was the same as before, only a few feet, yet it felt impossible to cross. Because now, every breath, every glance, every heartbeat was laced with danger. And for both of them, that danger was intoxicating. The silence after the door closed was unbearable. The storm outside had become wild, battering the windows with wind and rain. The flashes of light revealed them both in fragments, his face shadowed, hers pale with confusion and something she didn't want to name. He took a step toward her. One slow, deliberate step. Then another. "You weren't supposed to be here tonight," he said softly. "I wasn't," she replied, her voice shaking. "But neither were you." The truth hung in the air, sharp as the thunder that cracked overhead. Everything that had been restrained, every word, every breath, every look, broke open at once. They moved toward each other instinctively, pulled by everything they had been trying to deny. It wasn't just desire, it was release. The collision of guilt, longing, and truth all at once. Her hands pressed against his chest, not to stop him but to feel something real, something that made sense. He caught her wrist gently, eyes burning with everything he couldn't say. The storm's rhythm matched their breathing, fast, uneven, unstoppable. Every second felt borrowed, every heartbeat stolen. It was too much and not enough all at once. And then, another knock. Not from the door. From the window. They froze. Lightning illuminated the glass, and for a single, blinding second, she saw a figure standing outside, drenched, watching. The outline was unmistakable. The same gold ring glinted in the flash. He turned toward the sound, disbelief washing over him. "That's impossible," he whispered. But the next flash confirmed it. The woman from before, the one who had left the ringed hand at the door, was there, outside in the rain, staring straight in. The window pane shuddered as the wind screamed against it. She didn't blink. Neither of them moved. And then, just as the thunder crashed again, the lights went out. The room fell into darkness, the kind that hides everything except the echo of what just happened. Only their breathing remained. And in the dark, she finally understood, the night wasn't over. It was only beginning. The storm had passed, but its echo lingered, soft rain against the glass, a faint roll of thunder far away. The room was dim again, quiet except for their breathing. He lit the small lamp on the table, its golden light spilling over the bed, the walls, and the two of them, no longer standing apart, but still caught in the space between guilt and understanding. "She's gone," he said finally. His voice was low, heavy. "She left the ring." The words landed softly, but their weight filled the room. The gold band sat on the nightstand, gleaming faintly, a symbol of everything that had almost been destroyed tonight. She looked at it, then at him. You could go after her. I could, he said. But I'm still here. For a long moment, neither spoke. The silence wasn't heavy anymore, it was tender. Fragile. The kind that comes when people finally see themselves clearly. She took a slow breath, her hand brushing the edge of the lamp's glow. Maybe we were meant to break something tonight, she said softly. Not each other, just what was holding us back. He smiled faintly, a tired, honest smile. And what happens now? She met his gaze, steady and calm, though her heart still raced beneath the quiet. Now we remember. And maybe, we forgive. Outside, the rain eased into a drizzle. The air smelled clean, like something had been washed away. He reached for the ring, studied it for a moment, then placed it gently inside a drawer, not to forget, but to stop it from haunting them. The tension that had once burned between them softened, transforming into something quieter, deeper. Not fire, but ember, glowing, enduring. As he turned off the lamp, the last thing visible was their silhouettes, close but not touching, surrounded by the hum of a night that had changed everything. And in that darkness, a spark still lingered, a promise unspoken, waiting to return when the storm inside them did.